Thank you very much to EA for sponsoring this video, and today I embarked on an adventure of going from being completely useless at Apex Legends to finding a simple trick using Ballistic that transformed me to a professional... well, a lot better than I was once I figured out how to bend this Legends kit to my will, but as with every journey to greatness, we start at the beginning where I had not a single clue what to do after 5 months away from this game. Whatever gun Ash was using terrified me, but then fear turned to confusion as I saw the words missile lock. Well, now I'd experienced the Nemesis energy gun and learned about Ballistic's tactical that was supposed to overheat my gun, but is also capable of humiliating fatal blows. Got it. Hurling towards World's Edge, I was determined to evolve and, most importantly, check out the upgrades to Fragment West, now called Monument. I would make this place a tribute to my first win on my first attempt in this place. While many may be disappointed with 2 Mastiffs, to me this was a premium loadout, but visitors to this zone were getting between me and a tour of this fancy new place, so I'm afraid I had to ask them to leave. Quality shield swap. Couldn't res our teammate here as there were 2 squads who thought us weak. Well, they were wrong. Someone was healing inside, so like the big bad wolf, I huffed and I puffed. Hey, that's illegal. Eventually, I realised that the sling I'd been seeing on the bottom of my screen... okay, I didn't exactly... Look, I saw it in the next game, just... right, all that matters is that I figured it out, which was just as well, because when someone solo drops in your squad, the sling allows Ballistic to carry a 3rd weapon without attachments, and as it turned out, I was gonna need it. Whatever madness drove Bloodhound to the afterlife, we'll never know. What I did know was that this normally quiet zone was to transform into a war zone.
Rings far. They will only give you 30. Shot at. Smart bullet away. Smart bullet strong. Our opposed weapon.
Some animal with a charge rifle was trying to cover a bold revive, and while it may have worked against your average player, what makes me special is that I simply do not care. Tables had turned, now we had the numbers.
Smart bullets landed.
To make the most of our duo in this trio's lobby, it was time to take advantage of the sling. For when Ballistic pops his ultimate, the attachmentless weapon... Wait, is attachmentless even a word? Well, it is now. Anyway, the thing in the sling becomes golden and fully locked and loaded during this ultimate. The one weapon I can never find all the attachments for is the Devotion, which just became my secret weapon for any fight where the deck was stacked against us. But first, more combat nearby, and the Wingman was gonna do just fine.
Incompetent amateur.
Powerful as the Devotion felt, the ultimate had run its course and there was more than one team here. The ring was closing. We had to move. Trident, away! Being the first ones to the next zone meant that we had the advantage now, and even though there would be a full team of 3 versus the 2 of us, what chance did they have against the Wingman?
Hooligan there.
Turned out they had a Wingman of their own, and with a skull piercer, no less. Seems that I retained my skill after all this time off, but it mattered not, for Loba's black market allowed me to top up the Devotion for another spicy ultimate. So, of course, Fuse poured napalm all over us just after I popped it. Of course he did! Loba finished off the straggler and my optimism for victory grew. Well, so long as I tossed the wingman in the nearest trash can, that is, but with none of those lying around, I'd have to settle for dumping it next to the care package. The L-Star. A long time since I saw one of those in the care package, but anything was better than me with a wingman right now, so I gave it a whirl. I suppose for the Americans I would say whirl. No, it's a whirl. The gardens were alive with enemies, and more would come here when they heard the battles unfolding. Everyone left in the game had flocked to this zone, but to win, we'd need to approach this from another angle. Round 4 was about to close, and as we were in gardens, a phrase came to mind. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. But which one was I? We were about to find out. Anyone got a watering can? Probably should have roped up and looked around, but you live and pretend to learn, so we can go again to the Lion's Den, to King's Canyon, to Skulltown. I readied myself for a massive battle, but it never came. Oh well, at least when it did, we'd be ready, and this time there would be a full team of 3 to destroy. Yes. In Hollywood writing, this would be my Act 2 obstacle, which would be fine if, as the protagonist of this mighty tale, I had some superpowers to carry me through the hard times when all I really have is an arthritic finger from pushing W for a few decades. But after seeing the devastation of the L-Star in the last game, I licked my lips when I spied another care package, hoping for more of the same. And more of the same it was. I had to hope Fuse would catch up to my madness and catch up fast, because I was about to meet a lifeline that planned to ruin my day. Hello, darkness, old friend. I crawl before you because I didn't want to down an octane for a 3rd time, and if this was to be my end, then at least that speed freak tasted death before me. But it wasn't over. I'm not sure that actually was the same lifeline, but the cathartic release was just as good to me so long as the auto-reviver wasn't the thriver. I chucked the Mastiff into the sling. A shotgun seemed like a great option to have as a backup, and I'd probably need it considering the limited ammo of the L-Star. As we strode past the cage, the chaotic sounds of battle rang out across the canyon. Several squads fighting for their lives, and better than that, they wouldn't see us coming.
Being shot at.
Just like I didn't see a medium-sized sniper bullet enter my spine. Forget the multi-way battle. I was insulted and demanded justice. The coward had done a hit and run, but I wouldn't forget it, and now was on the hunt for a longbow user. And while internally I promised myself I wouldn't take a care pack weapon away from my teammate, there is only one thing that could make me break such a vow.
L-Star here.
Enemy airstrike.
A bold move by Gibraltar. Was this the sneaky sniper from before? Gibby tried his best to evade me, but I knew fine well he'd probably not plod down that hill out in the open. He wasn't the sniper, but perhaps one of his teammates was. Round 3 about to close, it was time to utilise the evac tower. Finally, the longbow user came out of hiding. Hello, Mirage. Well, consider me bamboozled. I know you've got to look for the blue lights on his shoulder, but with eyes like mine, Apex often looks like this, so that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it, alright? Shut your mouth. Round 3 closing and Mirage was pinned down. Served him right, the cheeky, honourless sniper. I'd have done the same thing, but I'm also extremely petty, so making sure the bamboozler foozled back to the lobby was now priority 1. At least I got to watch Mirage die, but being interrupted was not something I took too kindly, and I had found new targets to exact vengeance upon with the Kraber. Just us and 3 other squads now. We needed to get to the cage for the final battle. The high ground was everything. Scanned by survey beacon. Well, that can't be good.
The ring's near. Even this motley band
We needed to get out of here before those enemies ran right over us. I called down the beacon, but Fuse stood his ground. I was alone now. Fuse's banner at the edge of the ring and greedy enemies were carving up his loot. I was also outnumbered, but perhaps I could become the wild card of disruption to res my teammate and save the day.
2 squads yet remain. Ache to vanquish them. Enemy shield. Being shot at.
Ow! Okay, the resurrection plan would become a distant memory as the thundering footsteps of my enemies bounding towards me meant that surviving the next 30 seconds were highly unlikely. In they came, and I prepared to fight until my last breath. There was still a chance to... Uh-oh.
Rings close with 45 seconds left. Recharging my shield without resistance.
The ring was closing. I needed to catch the full team fighting the stragglers so I could... Oh, of course. Well then.
Squad has found its mark.
My only chance to clutch this game now was to bait enemies to the low ground while I circled above them. They didn't take the bait and I was in trouble, but it wasn't over yet. The game was lost, but afterwards I realised that I'd been gaining experience from my weapons in a new mastery system, so I'm going to be a Grandmaster Charge Rifle user in no time. But could I, me, Ragtag, the greatest gutter-tier gamer on the face of this earth, really finish my tour of Apex Legends by ending it like this without victory? Well, yes, I can, but